Welcome to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we share time-tested strategies to turn your annual revenue into your monthly revenue. Ready to up-level your business and your life? Then you will love listening in on the lively conversations Ursula has with her clients and guests as they share exactly what they did to grow and scale their business exponentially. Plus, you will discover how to experience more freedom, joy, and peace in your business and your life right now. If turning your annual income into your monthly income is your next step, then join us at the next 2X Intensive. Go to ursulainc.co/apply.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we talk about turning your annual income into your monthly income. I'm super excited because we have one of our CEO table members here today, one of our clients that we've been hanging out with for a year, who we love and adore, Tami Murphy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and I've enjoyed the last year that we've been together. It's been a great opportunity, and I've learned so much about running my business.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've learned a lot from you about operations and people and all the things that we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited to share your wisdom with our listeners, because we're going to talk about leading through your people with people operations, which I understand is a new buzzword pop out in the HR world. So stay tuned, listeners, because you're going to want to take some notes, especially if your business is growing and HR is one of those areas you might need some support with. Well, let's face it, we all need support in that area. So in a moment, I'll formally introduce Tami. So with that, just a couple housekeeping things. You know the drill. If you haven't grabbed it yet, go to our website, ursulainc.co, and you'll find our masterclass there that pairs nicely with the podcast, Quantum Revenue Expansion, the masterclass, where we do three things. One, we talk about how to set a new revenue container for your business. Two, we talk about how to uplevel your pricing, your packages, your marketing, so that you can actually reach that new goal. And then three, I share with you how to really collapse time and get there faster with systems, processes, and team, and some other quantum things sprinkled in. So if you haven't gotten that yet, definitely get a copy. If you haven't hung out with us at the 2X Intensive and you feel the call, you can simply go to ursulainc.co/apply, send us a few of your details, and we'll get connected with you and have you talk with somebody on our team to see if the 2X Intensive is a fit for you and if we can help you 2X your revenue. All right, with that, Tamara, let me tell you about Tamara Murphy. Tami Murphy is the founder and president of Extended HR, a boutique HR consulting practice here in Minnesota. I love that. Before starting Extended HR, Tami spent over 25 years serving as a senior leader in HR for multiple Fortune 500 companies in various industries, including retail and manufacturing. She has led strategic projects consisting of the implementation of HR technology, succession planning, HR department redesign, complete culture and branding change, mergers and acquisitions, workforce planning to business, all the way to business reorganization. Just a few things off her list there with Fortune big companies. So imagine her bringing this big company experience to your smaller company. It's amazing. These experiences now fuel Tami's passion to help business owners become more efficient and effective with their people, processes, and productivity. Tami Murphy, welcome again. And let's just start out with your story. So you had this incredible experience in the corporate world and learned a lot, did all the things. What inspired you to make the leap? Because I know there's people listening who haven't made the leap yet because they're out there, and there's some who've made the leap and might be new in business. But what made you take that leap?
You know, I've always been the type of person that's wanted to know what else can I do? So you heard all the things that I've accomplished. I've always been that overachiever. What else can I do? And so I got to a point in my life that it was a very difficult decision. Single mother of 15 years. So I have a teenager. I'm also a grandmother of two beautiful grandchildren, 9 and 6. And then I'm also a caregiver for my parents. And so it was a really tough decision going out on my own if I was going to start my own business. But I felt it was time. I've always wanted to help as many people as I can. And I felt that it was time for me to share my experiences with those coming through the HR and in the business world and help them to do better. I wanted to help the small and medium-sized businesses. I felt I was advising other HRs through a group of HR networking that I had started. And I just felt there's such a need for it. There's such a need. There's so many tools and everything out there for people to use and look at, but nobody knows, where do you begin? and how do
Yeah.
you apply it? And I hear so often of, new businesses when they start out, they say, oh, HR is not a problem. I can handle it. That's just taking care of the people. I need to get an accountant first. I need to get equipment. They have all these needs, and so they put the people side last. And so then what ends up happening is you end up putting out fires, because then they call me when they've got a problem and things need to be fixed. So I just wanted to get out, help more people, help them be more proactive, understand what they need to do to make their business successful.
So you're telling me that we entrepreneurs tend to get a little ahead of ourselves and we forget some of the key things like our people and how to make sure, and I think that a big part of it is that we aren't educated in the world of HR, right? It's not a required course to start a business. Probably should be, just like sales and business, right? It's not something you don't learn it in high school. You don't typically learn it in college. You don't really get that, right? So we don't know what we don't know, which you just said can be very costly when you have to put those fires out. And in talking with you here and just over the last year plus and hanging out with you, Tami, one thing I noticed is that you're very passionate about HR. And I would say for most people, that's not a thing. And yet they're not passionate, like business owners aren't like, I'm super passionate about HR. Like we put it at the bottom of the list. And yet you're out there like trying to help people get ahead of it. Why are you so passionate about HR? Like, what is it that really lights you up? Because you are super passionate about this topic.
I think about my own experience as an employee of when I started out, and I think about when I was a supervisor watching other employees. And it really comes down to, we're all out there for the same thing. We all want to be successful, and we want the company we work for to be successful. But how do we do it? We don't know how to do it. And so I just wanted to help ease that through. And to me, it seems almost simple, but it's not. It's very difficult. And so just helping other people understand that. I know it can happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen success, and I've seen it there. And so I always want to help those that, aren't quite at that point get there.
Yeah. Well, I would say one of your superpowers is simplifying HR for people and really breaking it down so it's easier to understand. And we're going to talk about that before we wrap today. We're definitely going to talk about this new world, this new kind of buzzword about POP and people operations and what that means. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about your business journey. You took, you're sharing, you're a mom, you're a super young grandma. You have parents that you are also taking care of. You're part of that sandwich generation, right? Which a lot of us are moving into that area already there. And so that in itself was a lot. And yet you had the courage to take the leap. What I'm curious about, because this is where, the topic of money is where a lot of people get stuck. And, being a single mom, like that would be easy to be just stop growing your business, stop investing in yourself. What have you learned about money that's allowed you to take risks in your business, invest in your business, invest in yourself, and keep growing? What do you know about money?
So, one of the big things, because I'm a very strong personality individual too. And so I didn't like to ask for help. That would, to me, would be a sign of weakness. And I really had to grab on and understand that if you need help, it's okay to ask for help. That's not a weakness. It's actually a strength, that you recognize that and that you're going to do that. And so I had to get that courage up to do that. So that was one of my first steps, is to reach out and ask for help when I needed it, to get started. The next thing is that I have this picture on my wall, and it sits right in front of me in my office. And it's a picture of a bird, and it's on a branch, and there's another bird behind it. And this one is just about going off, and it says, make the jump. Make the jump. You just have to make the jump. Do it. You have to believe in yourself. I went through all of that imposter syndrome. I went through, not valuing my worth, not believing that people would pay for my service or could afford my service. I went through all of that. And you and Rebecca helped me so much in the last year. Make the jump. Realize that you need to do that. And it'll be there for you. It will be there for you. You have to take that risk sometimes. And I remember one of my managers back in the day said to me, she said, Tami, you don't take risks. You're always so certain and positive about what you do before you do it. You never take risks. And I almost took that personally, but she was right. I don't take risks. And so it wasn't until I finally took that jump, took that risk, and believed in myself that I could start. When I started 5 years ago with my business, the rates I was asking, I was available 24/7 for my clients for any questions they had for a mere $100 a month. That's what I was charging. It wasn't paying the bills. It wasn't getting me anywhere. And that was all part of the imposter syndrome. And I didn't believe people, didn't believe the worth. Why? I knew how to do this job so easily. Why is it somebody else would pay me for it? And I've just learned the value that I bring to the individual businesses to help them grow and be successful as well. And I had to come to realization with that.
Yeah. And so just so many kudos to you for, I love that, like being willing to take the leap and being willing that money does show up. Money shows up when you make the decision, you take the leap with courage, even when you have no idea what's going to happen. And you made massive leaps. And I just want listeners to really hear this, especially women. Like, you made massive leaps in how much you charge, and you really connected with, oh my gosh, like I'm bringing 25 years of senior HR leadership experience to the table. Like, you started to see the expert that you are and how you can really make a difference, and everything that you're carrying up here. And that is worth so much. And what's cool is your business has also really evolved. Like, it's expanded in some really amazing ways. And one of those ways is now how you're helping clients with their culture and how you're helping them with the bigger picture. And this new thing, this new buzzword, people operations. So I know you're passionate about this, but tell us about people operations. Why is that important to us? Like, what do we need to know as small business owners?
So HR has really evolved over the years. We started out years ago and I was there pouring coffee, doing administrative. I am really that old. I'm older than you think. And, we started out that way. We planned the parties. That's what we did. That was our worth, and then we went into now, so much administrative work. There's so many laws out there and compliance that you have to do. And more laws are being passed between the nation and federal and state and city. There's paperwork that has to be done. And it's no longer, if you're a small employee, it doesn't apply to you. If you're a small employer, it now does apply to you. And how do you keep all that straight? So HR, they're the paperwork, pencil pusher. It was really about, if you went to the HR office, it was like going to the principal's office. Something's wrong. You got to do something. Nobody wants to go to the HR office. I've always run my office where people would say, there's way too much laughter coming out of your HR office. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. And, at the end of the day, I say, if you can't laugh, then there's a problem. You've got to be able to laugh through it and then tackle it the next day. People operations now, COVID pushed this through. But I have been in this mode set for years, but COVID really pushed it through, where we've got to take care of the people. So there's still the administrative part, but this is the whole other part where we look at the people, we maximize what we can do with the people and our processes. It's about being proactive, not reactive. HR has always been about putting out fires. Now we want to be proactive, make sure that we're looking ahead so that we can make the business profitable through the people, through their processes. HR can impact that all through the people. You can have equipment, you can have all the processes in place, but if you don't have your people and take care of them, none of that matters. We spend so much on our equipment maintenance. We have these maintenance records in manufacturing where we make sure that our machines are maintained all the time. And then we look at our people, we look at them as expenses, and we really need to look at them as assets and put them up there on the line. And they're the ones, they want to be successful too. They want to be part of something that's successful. So let's help them help us through it. And so that's people ops really concentrates in on how making that happen.
And how to really focus on people first. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like, that really did shift during COVID, because all of a sudden people didn't want to go back. Like, they've been at home for a while. I know they still don't want to go back to work. And I hear this from a lot of people that are still in corporate, where they're really trying to entice employees to come back into the office with food and prizes and all kinds of, like, money, like all the things, right? It's very interesting how that has shifted, and people are desperate to find people, desperate to keep people engaged and keep them on their team. Now, I know, Tami, just in talking with you more recently, as your company has expanded into this focus on culture and, people operations, that one of the things that happened is interesting, and I want to make sure people understand, is you first got really clear on how you wanted to expand your company and the new services you wanted to offer and how you wanted to engage with clients. And since then, you've had clients reach out to you, either past clients or current, say, I really need you for X, this, like, I need you for this. What would you say about that? Like, what have you learned about the process of creating and growing and manifesting the business you really want?
So, I really started the business out with where I thought that the need was at the time, to make sure that I needed that income coming in. I needed to be able to pay my bills, and so these things had to happen. And so I started my business with, okay, these are the necessities: writing employee handbooks, doing the paperwork, training business owners on how to do HR, what they had to do, working with the Department of Labor, doing training out in the field with them, all of these different things that I did. But the more and more I continued, I kept thinking about, why did you really go in? What is your passion, and what have you been more passionate about? And that's really about the people. Taking care of the people. Just doing what's right. All these other things to me are Band-Aids. We put a Band-Aid on, manager comes to you and says, so-and-so got another job offer. What can we do? How much more money can we give them? What other benefits can we give them? Can we give them another day off? Those are all Band-Aids. People operations digs in there and finds out, so that you never even have to get to that conversation. You shouldn't ever have to be there. So if you're just fixing that, that's a temporary Band-Aid, and it doesn't last very long. Trust me. More money. People will take less money for the right job.
Yeah.
For the right job. So they can be their real self. So they can go home at the end of the day and be able to be with their family and let their job behind. People will take less money. It's not, yes, in a way, it's about the paycheck at the end of the week and that they can make their bills. But if they're living their true selves and being able to have their personal life and do the things that they enjoy doing, they will take less money. So it's really about, how are you managing your people operations?
Yeah. Yes. And so when you go into a small business, not that we want to make people wrong, but like, we all want to have check boxes. What do you see small business owners getting really wrong about people operations, and what can we learn from that?
So what I see a lot of right now is people are trying to run their businesses the way they did 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They're trying to continue running it that way because it worked then. But now, with the shortage of people, with COVID coming in, changing everybody's focus on what they want to spend time doing, and people or family coming first, they have to change and they have to adjust. And so the biggest thing that I've seen going in is just simply starting with top leadership and their openness and willingness to change. That has to be the very first thing, and also to take a strong message. It's not that we go in and find things that are wrong. We find the right things as well. And we really capitalize on those right things. What's right, and how can we build that even further? How can we enhance that even further? But there is some change that always has to happen. And leadership has to be open to that. I've never been an individual that does the sandwich effect where nobody's ever left my office saying, I wonder what she meant. I wonder what she really meant. When people ask my opinion, I've always been the one who says, this is it. And I've always made sure they understood it. So sometimes it can be tough messages, but if they're open to it and see it as an opportunity to improve, to be even better, it's not a tough message. It's just making your business better so you can be profitable.
Yeah. Okay. I have lots of questions. So you mentioned, so like, you're able to go in, you're able to see pretty quickly, like what's not working, where senior leadership might be off track with some of the things they're saying or doing. And in a nutshell, what we did 10 or 15 years ago with employees no longer works. And I think a lot of people know that. Like, I think the employees of today have very different expectations of how they want to work, how they want to be treated, how they want to show up. And you're right. It's never about the money, or very rarely. And so one thing you did say, Tami, is you said, often there's a lot of things that we're getting right. when you think about some of your clients, what are the key things that you've seen them getting right that's really working that we could learn from?
One thing that I think that they're really getting right is they do really care about the people. They really do care about their people. And it's a matter of helping them to show that. What does that mean to the employee? Because we're all different,
Yeah.
and we have to be individuals. So they really care about their people, but it's helping them to break it down onto an individual basis. So we actually, when we go in, we develop a relation with the employees and we develop trust. We sit one-on-one with the employees and we develop trust. We don't share who said what in the conversations. It's completely confidential. And we make that clear as well in the whole process. So we get to find out a lot of good things. And a lot of times, it's just, they like their management team. They like the staff. Nobody wants to cause any problems. They just want to be successful. That's all the great things in businesses that happen today. It's just understanding each other.
Yeah. Interesting. We are clearly individuals and we see recognition differently. We see awards differently. Like I've managed a lot of sales teams over the years, right? And every salesperson is so different in terms of like what's going to motivate them or what's going, how they want to be rewarded. I'll tell you, I, was in the corporate world many moons ago, more than 15 years ago. And what I can tell you is definitely what we thought then is so different from today. Like I can remember the level of boundaries we set was so like, you never talked about your personal life. You never, like, it was like, I feel like it was really hard to get to know people because you had to be so careful, which that was of the time. And I'm not saying you want to overshare, but I feel like we're in a different time. And I will tell you that one of the lessons I learned as president of the tech company, where I kind of felt like I was breaking the rules, is that I knew that when my team members could come in and tell me the stuff that's really going on, that's bothering them. Like if they knew I had an open door and they could come in and share. And sometimes it was just, their child wasn't doing well, or, they were worried about a spouse or whatever, or a parent. If they could just get that off their chest and have me listen to them, it was like, they were so grateful. Like that made their day so much better. And one of the things I started doing which I thought was so much fun, it was I would take ice cream sandwiches around the floor and I'd pull this little cooler and I would get a chance to just kind of talk to each person. You would have thought I was handing out gold bars, Tami. It was like, then people were like, you have to do this every week. We love it so much. And we get to talk to you and we want to see you. They just wanted to be seen and heard. And anyway, that's been a great lesson, not only for me and my business, but even today. Like now we're at a point though, where this, and I don't know how many HR rules we break, but we tell our clients we love them. That's a part of our culture. Like, that we say that all the time. Mm-hmm. So far, no one's complained about it. Very different though, than what I would have said 20 years ago. But at the end of the day, you're so right. Like we have to hold the space as leaders to care, still have professional boundaries, but to be able to show people we care. And like you said, it might be on an individual basis as well. So there's some work involved. And what you do is you go in and you interview the whole team and then report back to the business owner to help them figure it out.
Well, and we help them through that whole step. So it may even come down to restructuring, reassigning responsibilities. It could be additional training. We'll come back and do training that might be needed. We'll take a look at the HR office and how we can simplify it and apply best methods so that they're not spending as much time on that and that they are in compliance. We'll take a look at their files and their folders, and we do the whole process. So you can't just have one item out of this process and think it's going to help. It's kind of like, if you go quality. So we talk about quality. And if we buy something that's not quite the quality we like, more than likely we're going to buy it again, because it didn't last as long. You can't take pieces. You've got to have all the buttons on the shirt. You can't just have 4 buttons when you need 6, because it's not going to button up right. It's the same process. We go through the entire business process. We look at the whole thing. We look at the employee handbook. We say, what message do you want to deliver to your employees? How do you want to be known to your employees? And we read the employee handbook. And if that's not the message, then we take a look and make recommendations on how that can be fixed as well. So it's the whole avenue. You can't just fix one department. You've got to look at how it's impacting the whole thing. It's the same thing with your employees. If they don't understand how they impact the next person coming in to do the job or the next department, if they don't understand how their job impacts it, then they don't know how to do their job. If they understand, if they don't, fix this widget a certain way, that'll make it easier for the next person, they need to understand that whole thing. And so that's what we do with the business.
Yeah. It's the whole picture. Well, it's just like in business, in the world of business coaching, right? If you only did a revenue plan, but you never learned how to market, it'd be pretty tough to grow your business. So having the whole picture and the whole checklist to go through to make sure your business is healthy on the HR side is critical. One last question. Well, actually I have two. I know you've worked with many different kinds of clients, and without sharing confidential information, by the way, audience, she doesn't know I'm going to ask this. So without sharing any confidential information about your client, what I'm curious about is like, what is one of your favorite or a couple of your favorite success stories where you've really helped, a business change, or you help them see their people in a different way? Anything that stands out over the years?
It's probably it's a couple of my most recent ones. So I helped an individual. She had about 20 employees is what she had. And she came to me, she had been in the business, owned the business. She had bought it from a family member, and she had owned it for about 10 years. And her and the manager were just literally crying, tears. I can't do this anymore. I can't, the employees, they're not showing up to work. I can't find people to hire. My sales are dropping. I don't know what to do. How do I handle this? Where do I begin even? Had no HR processes in place, knew she wasn't compliant on anything, just the whole ball of wax. And I just said, take a deep breath and I can help you. We can work on this and we can solve this together. She was working 7 days a week. She had no time for her family, just this, she put everything she had into this business and nothing was working, and she was ready to be done. She was ready to be done with the business, her dream to be done with the business, what she's worked so hard for. And I was able to go in, I helped her reorganize herself with her personal life as well as her business life. And the whole process, took her through her files, taught her, trained her on HR and what she needed to know as a small business owner, along with her manager, met with them continually for about 6 months afterwards on a continual basis, coaching them through different employee situations to help them re-energize themselves or redirect how they're handling employee situations and what they're saying. The whole thing, COVID hit right in the middle of it. So they had to close down. Talked with her through that, what she could be doing with her employees during that time, how to recognize them along with her clients to keep her clients. COVID got through, they were able to reopen. All their employees are still on staff. The whole process worked well. Today, she is doing what she's been trying to do after 10 years. She could never get to that point. She's now out training other business owners herself. She's able to do that because her business is running. Basically, she's there to run it, but she put her trust in us to put the trust in the employees and make it happen. And it's so rewarding to see that, to know that business, she was just about done, didn't know what else to do, was at her wit's end. And today she's doing what she's always dreamed of. She's expanding. They've even expanded the business. They just opened up a new part of it, even more so. And it's great.
Wow. Well, congratulations to you and this client. What a beautiful story. I mean, how many of us have wanted to just be like done, right? There's times when we hit walls, and if we don't have trusted advisors like you, and I love that she reached out and she just knew she hit the wall, and you were able, you've got a very, I'm sure our listeners can see this, like Tami has a very, or you can either hear it or see it. You have a very confident, connected, a lot of C's, caring, way about you that I'm sure is like salve for those clients who are ready to just give up. And on that note, as we're kind of getting closer to the end of time, what size of company or what kind of company would be a great fit for you if they're feeling like they're dealing with some of these challenges, and what would some of the problems be that they're having right now that they would know to reach out to you, Tami?
Well, as you know, I've worked with companies up to 2,500 employees, but my real focus right now is the small to mid-sized business owners. So under 200 employees. Ideally, it would be more in the range of 20 to 100 employees. That's really a sweet spot because then I as well can train them on their human resources and make that a more simplified process and compliant at the same time. That's what I am about. Simplify it, best methods, eliminate whatever you can, go electronic. These are the things that'll help be successful. And so those are really the sweet spot. As far as the industry, because I've got multiple industries, I've experienced the metropolitan, rural, manufacturing, retail, other industries. HR for a point, as far as the administrative part, is for the most part the same, but it's really when you get into the people operations, it's understanding the differences between those businesses. And I know where those differences are. I get that. I get the different community cultures. I get that, there are those when you're rural versus metropolitan. Not everybody gets that, but we're able to come in, recognize it, and that's how we put together our custom packages with innovative ideas because we've experienced many different things.
Beautiful. Awesome. And for someone who's out there right now going, me, I know that you are kindly offering a 30-minute complimentary consultation, and we'll have that in the show notes. What's the best way for them to book that with you, Tami?
Sure. You just go to my website and go to the contact page and submit your contact information, and I'll get back to you. I'll send you my calendar and you'll be able to get your schedule on in for a half hour. And I'd love to help. And I love just simply talking with people and getting them in the right direction. Even if it doesn't mean that we do something tomorrow, it might mean something in the future. So feel free to reach out and we'll gladly talk with you and tell you what you should be concentrating on, where to start, because that's the hard part. Where do you start?
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Tami. And the website again is extendedhr.com. So you can go on there, fill out the information and book that 30-minute consultation with Tami. And I highly recommend this. And also some of you are listening, you're thinking of somebody right now. You're thinking, I know somebody that needs Tami. So definitely share this podcast with them as well. We're all about sharing in this community and helping everyone up level together. Tami Murphy, you're the best. Thanks for hanging out with us today on Quantum Revenue Expansion. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. We love you in the CEO. We love you. I'm just going to say it. We love hanging out with you in the CEO community. I know our CEO table members love you and all the support you give them. So thank you. We wish you your best year in business ever.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all of your help. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, our pleasure. And I can't wait to see what's ahead for you. And to our listeners all over the world, we recognize that some of the HR things we do here are a little bit different, but still Tami might be able to direct you or send you in a different direction, or she might know someone international as well that could help you. So if there's any way we can help you for our overseas listeners, please let us know as well. And thank you for hanging out with us. If there's a topic that you'd want me to talk about, just email us at contact@ursulainc.co. That's it for this week, everybody. Make this your most epic month yet.
Thank you for joining us today. And if you are ready to make your next quantum leap, let's do it. Ursula invites you to join us at the 2X Intensive. Go to salescoachnow.com/apply. Don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite podcast app.